Welcome to What Our Faith Demands, a collaboration with Reverend Raquel Alston, Reverend Tanya Spencer, and me, Rabbi Jonathan Freirich, supported by a grant from A More Perfect Union, the Jewish Partnership for Democracy. This is episode 1. Our mission is to tackle some of the challenges facing faith leaders and faith communities, in our case Christian and Jewish ones, and see if we can learn from each other and then call upon one another to do better and do something right now to make things better. Here we are jumping right in on the topic of community growth, leadership burnout, and more.
People are coming in looking for comfort. We as leaders are trying to balance church growth and burnout. We have nothing. We can't offer them comfort because how are we comforted ourselves? We have nothing. They come in. There's a statement we grew up with. Come as you are. Right. But then, as I get older, I'm finding people are staying as they are. There's no change. There's no transformation. So, there's supposed to be this constant cycle of discipleship, but how can you do that when you offer the next person who's supposed future disciple nothing?
So come as you are, but don't stay as you are.
Right.
So maybe we need to get a t-shirt that says come as you are, but don't stay as you are. So they said in the beginning, yes, come as you are. But when you leave here, you are to be changed. And your job is to go out and help the next person.
But I think that's the problem, T. With everything that's going on in the world, we know that there is an actionable piece in Christianity or discipleship. Like you were saying earlier, there's the part of serving. There's the part of you receive the message and you apply the message to your life. But people don't get it that when I do that, there's a nourishing piece to that. And I'm just thinking about Christ talks about us being the body. If my left arm is not doing anything and it's attached to my body, then eventually necrosis settles in, or paralysis, right? And this arm is good for nothing, but it affects the entire body. So how I look at it is we got a bunch of Christians, disciples, followers of Christ, however you want to call them, saints, don't matter. We got a necrotic, paralytic body that can't even blink because of the nothingness that just fills them.
So I want to introduce our conversation because I think this question of the body and the health of the body is really something that I could learn from. So I'm here with Reverend Tanya, Reverend Raquel, and I'm Rabbi Jonathan Freirich, and we are talking about, I think at the heart of this, you started with the exhaustion of the body of the servant leader, right? Mm-hmm. A servant leader system that is focused on servant as savior, servant as listener to troubles, solver of troubles, and the doer of actions. And when we started with this question about comfort, the servant leader is getting burnt out because people are coming to find comfort, and part of their comfort is based on the actions being done by someone else.
Correct.
Yes.
And we can't do it all.
No, because everybody wants to be nice. Sorry.
No,
but it's the truth.
Yeah, we're telling you, let's leverage that, though. If everybody wants to be nice, We want to leverage that. If everyone wants to be nice, that's a doing thing. We can start with that as a very basic thing. Being in public right now is not very nice. We are not a nice American people.
Right.
We are not. We're very privileged across the board. As Americans, we are privileged individuals, and we go into other countries and other places and spaces. And if it doesn't look like, feel like where I've come from, we want to change it to America.
See, now you introduce something else. We're practicing our faith from a point of either financial or social stability. And it doesn't work like that. As from a Christian perspective, we truly, first of all, let me say this, how we define Christianity, so everybody can be on the same page. Just looking at the very basics of the word, it means to be Christ-like.
I'm going to push back on that.
Okay, all right, come on.
And say to you, as an observer of American Christianity, the majority of American Christians do not think that.
Right.
They don't think it, but that doesn't mean that's not the definition of it.
American Christianity is not focused on the life or teachings of Christ and implementing it. And I would say that American Judaism is similarly not focused on the central teachings of Judaism and implementing them. So I'm going to hear about what it means to be Christ-like from you in a minute, but I'm going to explain that I entered Jewish service with this idea that Jewish communities were about contributing to the world. And Ginny, my better half, said, oh, you've been doing all this community work for so long. Why not work with Jewish communities? Why not be a rabbi? Ginny wasn't Jewish yet, had no idea what it was to be a rabbi, and there we go. We started off on this great mission to follow the Jewish teaching that if I want to change the world, I need to start with myself and my family and my community, and then we'll contribute. But that requires the community to be on mission. So tell me about the mission of being Christ-like.
I'm going to keep it very simple and basic. It means that the practices of Christ, he narrowed it down to something very basic. We do unto others as we want them to do unto us. In essence, we love others and we also love ourselves. Very basic Christianity. But here's the problem in that. If looking at that statement, we can see how we are loving ourselves. And I blame it on Paris Hilton.
Yeah, I still say it goes way further back than Paris Hilton.
This is where I got from Paris Hilton, starting off the influencer, social media, and then, like I've told you, I believe that Kim Kardashian took it to a whole nother level, okay? Where on the internet, showing her life.
So what you would say,
yes,
maybe, to summarize, is we've had a number of amazing Christian leaders who've said, justice is what wealth looks like in public.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is what we've got now is Christianity is what selfishness looks like in public in American society.
I take it to what I used earlier, the idol of niceness.
Ooh, the idol of niceness. Explain that to us, Reverend Raquel.
Where we work very hard to preserve keeping the peace. We don't want to address the issues. We not even address, talk about them. Because talking about going back, just abortion, caused a lot of dissension in the church. Talking about the LGBT community, a lot of dissension in the church. Now we have Republican, Democrat, conservative, whatever, causes a lot of dissension in the church. And we used to be able to agree to disagree. We used to be able to, I can hear you out. In my mind, I'd be like, I don't agree with everything that you're saying, but at least I was able to hear what you had to say.
And what a sadness, right? Because we used to be able to theoretically, right,
Yeah.
have strong opinions about divisive topics and still come together and pray together. Even now, today, it's hard for us to have strong opinions about divisive topics and march together and say, okay, at least about this thing that we're marching for today, we all agree, right? We are litmus testing each other out of our communities, out of conversations, out of our families, out of our protest movements, out of everything. The team is getting pretty small.
I mean, it's destroying relationships and families and everything where we used to have those conversations and you can sit around a meal and everybody has something to say, but we stayed there and we finished the meal. Now, you come to the door, you may not be able to enter because they're like, well, last time you said something, we don't like it, you're not welcome.
So how does this relate to the Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian selfishness in public idea?
My father.
Not my father, who are
No.
actual
My
father.
actual biological father always taught me at a young age, pay attention to what's happening in society because it is a reflection of what's happening in the church. It seems like whatever happens in social media, somehow the church, the body of Christ, Christians, however you want to define them, picks up that and then starts applying it to our Christianity. Okay, so if there's some type of divisiveness over an issue happening in society, somehow the church becomes toxic.
Well, because if it's happening outside the church, we're bringing it in. And I think, so going back to the body metaphor, the body of the servant leader is absorbing all of that in the same way that the body of the church or the faith community is absorbing all that. So we go out and we have a theoretical model. The theoretical model is the three of us inspired to become leaders, go in, and in a community we concentrate good teachings and good energy and send it into the world to actually impact the world. And what we're saying is, unfortunately, what's happening is the world is infecting the house of worship, the faith community, much more than the faith community is influencing the world.
Right. In that sense, who's holding whom accountable?
We do have an accountability problem.
Mucho grande.
So how do we reverse this direction? Because that's the topic of the theme, even one might say the underlying focus of our work is how do we take the good teaching to not just respond to the infection of the world that's corrupting all of us and our faith communities, but turn it back. Say, hey, wait a second. The answer to the difficulty starts in our communities, but we only attend to it if we reverse this direction, if we take it out from the community into the world.
That's a great question.
Well, I mean, we have to talk about it. I mean, the whole thing about being nice, right? Sometimes you can't be nice. Sometimes it's about coming out, speaking truth to power, speaking truth. And whether people like it or dislike it, sometimes you just got to tell the truth and stand on the truth. And I'm just not talking like my truth. They're like, well, I'm standing in my truth. Well, what does that mean? Who came up with that, right? I hate that saying, by the way. But addressing the issues and talking about it, because, we get it a lot, right? We we didn't come to church to hear about politics. Listen, this isn't about politics. This is about treating your neighbors as yourself. So basically then what you're telling me is that you can't stand yourself because the way you treat your neighbor is horrible. Let's start there. What do we need to do to help you to like yourself, love yourself, so you can love your neighbor? I'm talking about the person that even lives next door to you or the person that you sit next to in church every Sunday that you know nothing about.
So we have an action plan now. You just gave us, Reverend Tanya, an action plan. If at the heart of all of our teachings, we share a textual tradition that says, love your neighbor as yourself. So the prerequisite to that is self-love. Not self-aggrandizement, not self-promotion, not selfishness, but self-love. So our homework assignment for ourselves and then for our communities is pick a way in the next week to work on a real loving of ourselves. What does that mean? Does that mean really embracing restorative rest for 5 minutes a day? Does it mean really embracing making sure that I eat healthy once a day? And then, once I do that, I have to do it for somebody who lives near me. And this is not politics and politics all at once. Because I think that's what we're getting at, is that the faith-oriented action starts with a principle: love our neighbors as ourselves. Starts with figuring out how to do self-love at all, and then figuring out how to apply it to our neighbors. And it turns out that's actually both a political and a non-political statement.
I hear what you're saying, but the first part of that is we're supposed to love God with all our heart and all our soul first. Then we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. Because how can you... It's difficult to love when you've never felt love. And the love of God is supposed to penetrate our hearts in order to help us to love ourselves, to love other people. Wouldn't that be the bigger assignment of how do we show people or help them to get to feel the love of God in their own life so they can therefore take that love from that God is giving us to other people.
And that's part 1 of episode 1. We will continue with this conversation on how we put love our neighbor as ourselves into action by starting with loving God in episode 1, part 2, to come up right away.